Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
What I find interesting is this hypocrisy from people who have wealth, is that one of the things they say, oh, well, if you give people money, then that it disincentivizes them from working. Well, how come it don't work for you? You have $200 billion. Doesn't that disincentivize you from working?
But we all know.
You notice the same thing don't apply to them. Like they say, what's another thing that they say?
Holip, remember, 20% of CEOs are psychopaths. So
right. Exactly. Nothing ever applies to them. Like if you're saying that you can't satisfy, you give people the bare minimum and they're not satisfied, yet you have $200 billion and you're not satisfied. You want 400 billion. You want $1 trillion. So it's funny how that works. It's funny how you're a human being just like everybody else is. But the difference is they say that most people want, if you can provide a society where most people have a living wage tied to productivity and cost of living, a car and a house, and the ability to go on vacation twice a year, most people will be completely satisfied with that. Completely satisfied with that.
And also give them employment. That's one of that's one of the things that people that rich people forget and the government forget. You got to give people employment. Okay, stop telling people, oh well, we don't work hard. How can I work hard if there's no jobs? It's like in South Africa. You wonder why the crime is off the charts. You wonder why people are constantly upset. It's like 34% of South Africa's population is unemployed. You have a situation where a third of the population literally doesn't have any work. And there are some people who graduated college and still can't find a job. And you're blaming them when, listen, you got to provide us employment. You want us off the street, then you got to give us employment. Otherwise, we're just going to be, what? I ain't got no job, so I'm just going to wander around.
But you know what that is, Jabari? The reason why you feel that way is because you see the function of a corporation within the context of a nation as being there to provide jobs for your citizens, right? Or else, what's the purpose of them being there?
Right. But corporations don't look at money.
They look at profits, they look at
margins.
You scale. Ask the average person, what's the obligation of a corporation, and they say to provide profits for their shareholders. That's a fundamental difference, and that's the reason why you can have corporations off, what do they call it, outsourcing, and getting jobs for people outside of the country. My thing is, if we had a real government that was really for the people, you would not be allowed to do that.
But also, we have to add another uncomfortable reality. You have to change the whole system, like economic system, because the thing that Americans don't understand, this is what they created. They created this system, so did the West, is you created a system that's based off of profits. So in order for me to be competitive internationally, I'm going to have to outsource jobs. If I don't, I'm not going to be internationally competitive, and that means I can't make money. See, we were having this whole conversation about economic systems, and one thing I said was you had to change the means of production, and what does it mean to make money? Because money is a human-made thing. People act like you need money to live. No, we don't. Money is a man-made thing that we give value to. And when it comes to the economic system, we can have the means of production be collectively owned by the public, owned by the people, owned by the workers' commune, owned by the union. There are so many different ways we can structure the means of production, but we don't. Why? Because it's become hard for people to even imagine a world where money's not the main driver and the mean productions is not owned privately.
You know what would be cool? And if this will never happen, but in a perfect world, we'd be earthlings.
Right.
There wouldn't be any country. There'd just be the planet. And wherever you are on the planet, there would be, and I know this is going to trigger people when I say this, one government. Ooh, one world government. Scary, spooky. That would allocate resources wherever the resources are needed. Period. The earth would be, you would be an earthling. That would be your legal status.
Yeah. Kind of like,
but
in a way,
that's
Star
fantasy,
Trek
like Star Trek. Like Star Trek. You were from the planet Earth. You're an earthling.
By the way, the answer to that question you had about what was the 20th country, Belgium, according to the poll I'm looking at. In fact, I'll just read. Yeah, I'll just read the list of the 20, starting in order from 1 to 20, with the first being obviously the happiest. Finland, Denmark, Switzerland, Iceland, the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Luxembourg, New Zealand, Austria. Next is Australia, Israel, Germany, Canada, Ireland, Costa Rica, United Kingdom, that's 17th, the Czech Republic, 18th, United States, 19th, and Belgium, 20th. And again, those happiness indexes are based on, polls from citizens across the board about their ideas about, government services, the social welfare of the country in general, technology, infrastructure, overall, physical health of the population, things like that all make up a kind of a broad rubrics cube of ideas about life overall that go into this happiness report.
Mm-hmm. And what Jabari said is true, Baruti, that because of the way that the system is currently configured, you're going to have outsourcing, and you're going to have to compete internationally, and you're going to have to get employees and workers for dirt cheap from other countries so you can afford to compete with it. All of that is based on the system that we have set up. But in the system where you're talking about, like I said, the fantasy system that I'm talking about, then outsourcing wouldn't be a problem, because if we had the technology and the technological advancement in infrastructure across the globe, not just in our country, but across the globe, they say that when, like, let's say that what's that thing, the Hyperloop system was in place.
That'll eventually happen.
Yeah, if the Hyperloop system is in place, I can literally work in California, take a ride to New York for lunch, and be back.
That's happening. That's increasingly happening now, because now the disparities in income across the globe is declining.
Right.
Developing countries are catching up to developed nations. So now it's pretty much just a matter of global infrastructure. Now, like you said, you can go literally from, like, China's trying to create this whole like underwater subway system. You can literally get from, and it's crazy because they did a video on this, how it takes you 2 hours to go 30 minutes in America, but you can take a high-speed rail and get from one place to China in like 20 minutes across the country.
Right. That's what I remember they were saying about the Hyperloop. Like, you can literally live in New York and work in California if you had that system in place. And transport every day back from New York to California easily.
Hypersonic, everything is becoming supersonic, hypersonic. And so also flying cars. Think about it. Now we're having flying cars. You could literally fly yourself around the world if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
But see, and also
here's another thing.
You know what, Holip, speaking on that, I was reading this article about artificial intelligence, and this is what we mean by we're not having serious conversations the way we should have, and this can affect happiness. They were talking about how when artificial intelligence is becoming so advanced that you could have 24-hour surveillance on people that is able to collect their DNA, able to collect their irises, able to collect all of this stuff, right? And it can easily track everybody's every move, and they can serve as informants and basically create this paramilitary or police state, right? And my response is that people are not thinking that. People, we got to start. In the article, it made a great point. We've got to start thinking about how we want to design these systems, because we think right now the surveillance state is bad. Imagine once artificial intelligence becomes off the charts, how crazy that surveillance state is going to be.
Yeah. If we still have the same people in charge, no matter what technology that we utilize, it's going to be used for evil. The same people are still going to be in charge. Like, come on, man.
That's why I said you're going to give a hyper-capitalist system that kind of surveillance and that kind of robotic power and think things are not going to go good?
You got to have a vision for the future. That's something that I don't think Black leadership has ever said, period. You got to have a vision
for this.
Right. You got to have a vision for the future. And like you said, you got to prepare. You have to, like, everybody thinks that the future is just out there and you just flying by the seat of your pants and twisting in the wind. People map out they create the future. You map out what you want that future to be. Period. But see, we're so used. It's like Black people remind me of dogs that have been beaten too much. You ever like go up to a dog that's been hit so much and like you go to raise your hand to pet it and it flinches? That's what we're like. We're so used to being beat up that we can't even think from the position of not being beat up. Everything is always paranoia. And don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with a healthy dose of paranoia when you're used to getting abused, because you can see the signs and whatever. But what it takes away from you is that ability to just be a human being. Like, I want every Black person to listening to my voice, ask yourself this question. Being in America, do you know what it's like to just get up and just be? Like, and white people have a luxury in this country. They just get up and they just live and just be. They don't have to worry about having conversations with their children, telling them how to maneuver in this bullshit. Oh, when you see the cop, don't look them directly in the eyes. When you see white people, you got to act like this. They don't have to do that. They just get up and exist. They just be.
And that goes with happiness. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Right. With position, like you said, being able to get up and just be. Going, like I said, I use my example with South Africa, because even with all the issues in South Africa is still 90% Black. So Black people are the majority. Black people can do what they want if they really wanted to. And also, I don't have to worry about the microaggressions, because majority of the people in the country are what? Black. So
that's why when I went to Rwanda, man, I miss that place to this day. I feel homesick that I'm not there, because I was so fucking comfortable. It's like when I went there, all of that weight that you feel on your shoulders in America, it just drops. And for the first time in my life, I went to a place where there was Black people in power. All I saw was Black faces and no aggression. I didn't get one side eye, like they do stare in Rwanda, but it's not maliciously. It's like more out of a curiosity stare, like, oh, this person is interesting. I never seen them before, like stuff like that. But no ice grills, none of that. I got zero attitude.
It's the same thing with me when I was in South Africa. When I was in South Africa and I would be walking in on campus, nobody knew I was an American until I started speaking. And they was like, oh, the accent. Otherwise, everybody thought I was just a regular South African or somebody from another African country. And even then, that's the privilege of just being able to be when you're in Africa and people ask you, where are you from? And then they ask you, where are you really from? Some people may, oh, well, what is that? Like, they may get offended, but I take pride because they see you as African. That right there confirms your African identity. The fact that when they ask you, where are you really from? They're saying, what part of the continent are you from?
Right.
You can't compare to the status right here. Legendary worldwide, we can battle right here. Listen, Junior, I'ma tear back your wig. This ain't TV, but I'll show you what a fear factor is. Stop grilling me, and all that frontin' is killing me. You leave me no choice but to hurt your feelings, G.
About to slap rappers around and bruise